I'm speaking to Sue Fauver of Shanachie Records on June 15, 2001.
Hey there, how are you?
Sue, hello. How are you doing?
Oh,
You've been partying down like a record exec.
weeks, let me tell you. In fact, I just decided I was going to take half a day off because I'm pretty trash.
How did the
It's actually really quiet around here today.
Can you talk for a few minutes?
Yeah, I sure can.
How did the concert go?
It was so cool. I have to tell you, I had the time of my life. It was so good. And the audience was so enchanted with everyone.
Now, who was on the bill? I actually clipped an ad for that, but I don't have it in front of me.
Well, it's the Alison Krauss, Gillian Welch, Ralph Stanley, Norman Blake, Dan Tominski, Chris Thomas King, the Fairfield Four, the Whites, the Cox family,
Oh, God.
the Peasall sisters, Emmylou Harris.
Okay.
Yeah, that about covers it.
And that's sold out instantaneously or something?
You better believe it.
Here's my ad. Let's see, it's from the Sunday New York Times a few weeks ago. All those people you said. Yeah.
Yep, it was really remarkable. Now, it sold out, and I'll tell you, the low-end tickets were $45, and the high-end tickets were $95. And there you couldn't find a $45 ticket, I don't think, after the day it went on sale.
God.
But, it probably was worth $95.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I mean, what an odd statement for us to be making. It's like,
really, but you didn't see one person complaining, let me tell you. They had rehearsed it really well, too. It was really beautifully done. It opened up with the Fairfield Four coming out and singing, and then Norman Blake, who's our artist, came out and did Big Rock Candy Mountain, and of course was dedicated to John Hartford. He had just passed away, and then Norman did You Are My Sunshine with a band, and his wife Nancy was with him, which was great. Mike Compton was playing mandolin on everything, and he's so good.
It sounds like from the start, I mean, they kind of, did they follow the album a little bit?
Yeah, they followed it fairly closely. There were a couple of deviations. The stuff that Gillian and David did were not really from the album, and I was talking, their agent, Lee Olson's a real good friend of mine. I've known him forever.
Okay, yeah.
You know Lee.
I know Lee.
He works with Brandy, right?
Right, I know Lee, and we had dinner together, the three of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Lee pretty well.
That's right. Forgive me, my brain's fully.
That's all right.
Today. But anyway, so I was talking to Lee, and he was saying, Gillian and David are trying to play Town Hall next time they come into town. So I'm sure part of it was to kind of set it up for them to get a little extra exposure.
Did Lee fly up for the show?
Yeah, Lee was here, Keith was here.
Okay.
Denise, of course, was here, and her partner, Norm. It was really a who's who of who was here. Elvis Costello emceed it, which was really pretty perfect, really, because you had all these people who probably hadn't seen this music live before, and he kind of worked as a transitional element.
God, that's all pretty funny.
And T-Bone Burnett, of course, was wandering around.
Did he perform at all? Did he get up on stage?
All the right people kept a low profile.
Yeah.
Amy Lou kept a really low profile. And you know who? Okay, so guess who the big star of the show was?
Probably. I want to say Ralph.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because Ralph has got this aura that people are. It's at all times people zone in on who's the icon.
It was amazing. They saved him for last. And he walks out on. They introduce him as and finally, Dr. Ralph Stanley. The entire main floor jumped to their feet before he even could open his mouth.
It is from, I would venture to say, I guess, a crowd of people who want to both venerate the Roots and be seen as venerating the Roots. It's kind of like who they are and who they want to be. Who they want to make sure they're perceived.
They're showing that they've got a little knowledge of it.
Right.
That's how I took it. But it was interesting because I mentioned this to Richard Nevins, who owns the label, yesterday. Richard's always the skeptic, and he said, well, that just shows you. And see, he's taking this tack because I've been the one since December saying, you guys, we got to really, capitalize on the fact that Norman's part of this, and we'll sell extra records, and da-da-da-da. And everybody's been saying, oh, well, I don't know, it's all going to be over with, da-da-da-da. And so as soon as I said to him, I was so thrilled because I think a lot of these people haven't seen this stuff. He said, no, if they jumped to their feet when Ralph came out, then obviously what you've got is the 700 Alison Krauss fans and the 500 Cox family fans and all these people who came who already know this stuff and they aren't going to buy any extra records. I don't think that's what's going on at all. I think...
Well, I don't know about the concert audience. Certainly, some people are going to buy other records. I think that's unavoidable. Although I do think it may take the shape of something I might have spelled out to you in an email. It's kind of my stock line.
They'll buy one. Yeah.
I think a lot of people will buy one. They might buy one of more than one artist, but I think that I don't know if a whole lot of new people are going to buy more than one Ralph Stanley record.
Probably not.
Some will. There's always some residual effect. There's some people that get turned on.
It may actually affect live music sales, ticket sales, more than it does
That's true.
record sales, because I firmly believe that at least half of that audience last night, Wednesday night, had not seen these people before.
Yeah.
It's wrong. Just from looking around the crowd, they looked very much like an NPR crowd.
Okay. Yeah.
Certainly the right demographics and everything.
Right.
But and there was a remarkably large amount of people dressed very casually in T-shirts and jeans and stuff, which is probably the festival crowd who are used to them.
Yeah. Now, has Ralph done New York in a setting like that? Not a concert hall, but even a club?
I doubt it.
Okay. Yeah.
But he walked out, and they.
Well, Randy would know, or at least.
And of course, they blacken the stage and put the spotlight on him, and he does "Oh Death," and everybody's hair stands.
Right.
And then it was cool because he had a band come out, and he said, "I'm going to sing you something I've been singing for 55 years."
Man of Constant Sorrow. Right.
And of course, it just knocked Dan Kaminsky's version flat.
Right.
Just because it's Ralph.
Right. Although I believe he's doing an arrangement now that sounds just like the Tominsky version on the record, though.
Very close.
Yeah.
It's not exact.
And it's also not his. It's closer to Tominsky today than it is to Stanley 1945. So
people can associate it with
sure.
it a little better, and it's and then he got to lead the last big the big. Everybody on stage thing. They did Angel Band.
Right.
With everybody.
So wonderful, yeah.
But Emmy Lou was really in the background, and T-Bone stayed in the background, and they really let people shine. I mean, Norman sure got his day in the sun, I'll tell you.
Cool.
It was so cool. And we had backstage passes, so we went backstage afterwards and chatted with everybody, and the guy from Mercury was having the best time. I mean, he was so nice. And the promoters were really nice, and there was this enormous level of heartfelt sincerity between the audience and the performers that was just palpable in the room.
Who promoted this show? The ad I've got says something called United Talent Agency. What in the world is that?
Immortal Talent out of L.A.
It was what?
Immortal Talent.
Immortal Talent. Okay, I see Immortal Entertainment on here.
That's who it was. And they're looking to put it on the road in January, February.
Now, who are they? Are they some well-heeled interlopers who got everybody's permissions and said, let us package this?
No.
Okay, what are they?
I think that probably Keith's office packaged it. Denise and T-Bone.
Right.
They packaged it and worked with and actually I talked to a promoter friend of mine in Portland who was saying that he was interested in trying to get his hands on it, but it was way out of his price range. So I'm sure they shopped it around.
Okay, I see.
And then Immortal, I think that, what Lee told me was that it cost about $250,000 by the time they got done, because they paid for everybody's hotel rooms and transportation, and rolled out the red carpet. They stayed at the Hudson Hotel, for Christ's sake, which is very chic, New York. And,
interesting.
They were even paying a rate of $220 a room, for everybody. But it was close by, and it made everybody feel really great.
I see on my ad, SFX Entertainment has got a logo on here.
It's a ticketing agency.
Oh, okay, but they're more than that.
Yeah, well, they acted as the ticketing agency for this.
Right, they don't own Carnegie Hall. They actually own venues around the country.
Do they?
There's some, if not them, a parent company that you wouldn't know that owns them and also owns venues. They're becoming one of these mega live media things where the ticketing agencies and the concert venues are owned by the same person, and the consumer is just squeezed to death. Now, they certainly don't own Carnegie Hall, but so I guess here they might have just served as from a ticketing standpoint.
Well, what Lee said is that they really only had a profit margin of about $10,000 on this show.
Interesting.
Which is entirely possible. But the idea was that they needed to jump through all these hoops to get it, and they'll make it up if they take it.
Hey, if they come to the Paramount or the Bass Concert Hall, I'll be there.
Oh, you better believe me.
I mean, I've seen most of these people, but I'd want to see the show.
It's worth it. I have to tell you, I've seen most of them too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's maybe one or two I hadn't seen.
Never seen Norman. Never seen the Cox family.
I had seen the Cox family. Hadn't seen the Peasall sisters.
I haven't seen them. And do they tour a lot?
Huh?
Are they a touring aggregation normally? I didn't know anything about them.
Little kids.
Yeah, I mean,
I think regionally they do little festivals.
Okay.
I had not seen the Whites quite in that formation.
Right. What are the Cox family like health-wise? They got banged up pretty badly, didn't they?
Well, I think the dad isn't doing too well. He plays out of a wheelchair.
Wheelchair, yeah.
But otherwise, they seem fine. They were
Okay.
certainly overwhelmed to be there. Genuinely.
Okay. Well, we were going to talk a little bit about marketing.
Sure.
Can I tape this?
Oh, sure.
Okay, great. Let me just
I'll keep my snide comments to a minimum.
Oh, then tell me to turn it off when we're done, and I'll to make your snide comments. I don't know. Who books Norman Blake, by the way?
Scott O'Malley.
I don't know him. I don't even know the name.
Really?
Is he an individual, or is he with an agency? Or?
He has an agency. He's been around for a very long time. He lives in Colorado Springs. Actually, he and Keith started out as partners.
I see.
And then Scott, I know Scott because Scott, well, I booked Norman into a bluegrass festival back in about '86 through Scott.
Okay.
But Brian Bowers is with Scott, if you know Brian.
I know that name, but that's all.
Oh, he's a really cool old auto harp player who lives in Seattle.
That's probably how I know the name. More of that. I just don't know. Who else do they book? Do they have a roster?
A little roster, and and he has Don Edwards.
Okay.
Actually, he and two other people started a label called Western Jubilee, which we licensed their stuff and put it out.
I see.
So, and they have a recording studio. They have this whole little compound in Colorado Springs.
Right.
And actually, they're going to be doing a Katie Moffat cowgirl record.
Oh, cool.
Which is really cool. And so Katie's flying in to open up this show for Norman tomorrow night. In fact, we're going to have dinner ahead of time.
Oh, cool. She was just here. Cool.
Yeah,
I
worked on a couple records with her when I was at Watermelon.
Okay. Yeah, I like seeing her. I don't know her at all, but I like seeing her.
She's a sweetheart. She's really a nice person. She's been fighting the good fight for a long time.
She's getting up there, and it must be wearing on her. I don't know how well she.
Her health has not been real good. She had
TB, didn't she?
She had TB.
I said to myself when I heard that, I said, "Who gets TB?"
She had that when right after we did the second record with her, something like that. It was really tough.
Yeah, I mean, that's still my reaction. I didn't think people got TB, at least, like first world American white people.
We should talk to her about that, because that's what she thought, too.
Yeah.
She found out how people get treated who've got it, and she went through all this major medical research and fighting with people, and she ended up being a TB activist, let me tell you.
Good God. Interesting.
Yeah.
So Ken Irwin ended up, and I don't know, maybe some of this was just for public display, but he actually went on the Bluegrass Ale email list and said, "Anybody have any ideas as to how to use Oh Brother in marketing our artists who are on the label?"
Well, I'm not surprised that he did that, because it's been trying to figure out how to do it has been an interesting process. I'll tell you where I got involved in it.
Okay.
You figure, I moved up here in November, and then so I'm surveying what we've got on the label, and my forte is this kind of stuff.
Right.
So, here I see that we've got Norman Blake, and it's on, and he's on this soundtrack, and I went out and bought the soundtrack the day it came out.
Okay.
And so I was playing it around the office, telling people that this was the coolest thing I heard, and then it took off in this neat fashion, and we were trying to figure out what to do, and I said, we've got this nice Norman Blake record that came out in November of '99. We really should try to do something with this. And it turned out that Borders apparently had put together a program featuring the artists of Oh Brother when the sales started to pick up to coincide with the movie being out, and featured it on an end cap, but we didn't buy into the program for one reason or another.
Did they initiate that on their own? This
probably,
is moving. Okay.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure that they probably went through and talked to Mercury and whatever else they were going to do. I mean, retail at that level is usually looking for little packaging ideas.
Right.
And heaven knows what all discussions were. But it wasn't certainly discussed with labels. It was probably maybe mentioned to distributors. They probably came up with it on their own. They've been pretty good. They're the one chain that actually got together with No Depression and has like a 5 listening station program they put on with no depression that you can apply for.
Oh, okay.
So they're
That is
more
kind of cool.
folk and Americana friendly than most.
Right.
So I suspect this probably came from their buyers thinking about it. But we didn't buy into this program for one reason or another. The marketing director said that it just wasn't presented to him in such a fashion that it made a lot of sense. My guess is that an artist now this is where I have to be careful what I say, an artist like Norman, for a label like Shaneke's based in traditional music, but it's not what makes our living these days.
Mm-hmm.
What makes our living is smooth jazz records.
Interesting.
And, the Walter Beasleys and Kim Waters and Chuck Loebs of the world will sell, 35 to 65,000 copies of a record.
Mm-hmm.
Norman will sell 5 to 6,000.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so, at some point, when you've got a label that's as diverse as what this one is, and a staff that's got the kind of diversity of backgrounds that this one does, when Norman's not the focus.
Sure.
He's genuinely not the focus. He's seen a little bit as been a pet project of the owner who's, really, really into this kind of stuff. And because this label has done, a good job with Celtic music and traditional music, but, it's not like the big focus of how we spend all our money. So I'm sure this went right across the marketing director's desk, and he kind of went, oh, well, we're not going to, he probably said, we're not going to want to spend $600 or so on a title that's more than a year old.
Right.
It doesn't have huge sales potential. And when I mentioned this to him, he
Which is
said,
the record you're talking about?
Far Away Down on a Georgia Farm.
Okay.
It came out in November of '99.
Okay.
And we generally don't do a lot to promote a record after it's a year and a half old.
Sure.
Because the life is, you just make sure you keep it in stock.
Right.
But you don't buy programs for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it turned out to be the wrong decision, and everybody was feeling terrible about it. And we looked around for what else we could do. We applied to get into a program with Barnes & Noble, and we got turned down because they'd done something a year ago on the title, and there were only so many slots.
Right, but they were doing this around Oh Brother as well?
They were just a folk
I gotcha.
We were just, what we were trying to do was get the CD out of the bin into an end cap.
Right, gotcha.
And then we made stickers. We decided we'd at least sticker it.
Okay.
So we made stickers that said featured on the Oh Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack. And
Right.
we put them on existing stock.
Right.
And I went back and solicited all our sales reps and said, this is what's happening with this is what sales are.
Actually, you said you put it on existing stock, but then you had to get that stock out to the stores.
Well, this is what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, gotcha, yeah.
So I went back to our sales, our distribution staff and said, hey, you guys, here's what's going on. Now, we've got this, it's stickered stock. It's, appropriate to try to get this into the stores at this point. Well, trying to get retail to buy an old title is a challenge, too.
Right.
But we had a few successes. I mean, Michael Crockett there in Austin, who handles Anderson, which stocks Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
they brought in some.
Okay.
Which, so there were some things there where it got into some places where it wouldn't have, but in a very small way, so we still weren't shipping big quantities. But I was watching the sound scans on it, which were real interesting, because instead of selling 20 to 30, like it maybe would just as, an old title of somebody that's well known,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden it jumped from 45 to 75 per
You're talking per week. For the units, that's nationwide.
nationwide.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So that was a pretty interesting thing. And when I could start pointing to sound scans going up, everybody started to take it a little bit more seriously. So there was some talk around here about, well, let's see, do we do something as a compilation from the Yazoo end of our label?
Right.
And maybe try to follow the roots of this? That'd be an interesting...
Like the roots of Oh Brother?
Yeah.
Interesting. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it was an interesting concept, and that got tossed around here for a little while, and then nixed.
Uh-huh.
And, and we couldn't figure out any way to really reposition the record in the stores, so we felt like we'd done what we could. Well, then what came about was I found out that the new record, actually, I was looking through the new release sheet, was actually just about done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called Scott and said, when are we planning to put this out? Do you know? And he said, well, the talk has been to do it in October. And I just went nuts.
That's the Be Ready Boys record?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. No, that's the new one that came out Tuesday, Flower from the Fields of Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, oh my God. So I went back to Richard Nevins and I went back to Randy and I said, you guys, I think what we really should do is, I'm hearing rumors that there's going to be a Carnegie Hall concert in June from Scott. It's not nailed down yet, but I think we need to move the release of that record up to June if we can meet the production schedule.
Right.
So all of this talk ensued, and it turned out that Red House was doing Peter Ostroushko, Norman Blake duet record that they were thinking of putting out. And so Richard said, well, I think we had an agreement that they, that they said they could put theirs out in the spring and we were going to put ours out in the fall. And I said, oh, I hope not. So I talked to Scott and he said, well, it was just kind of a verbal understanding, but they haven't been, really meeting their deadlines, and I don't even think they're going to get it together until July at this point. And I said, well, so how much of a problem is it if we just say, hey, you know what, this artist has signed our label and we are going to put our record out in June whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
He said it'll make them a little unhappy, but it's not anything that's permanently damaging.
Okay.
So that's what we decided to do.
Sure.
And it turned out that our release date, which is always the second Tuesday of the month, was June 12th. So we decided on that, and then, much to our delight, the Carnegie Hall show was on the 13th.
Now, I haven't seen the record, so what's it? You got stickers on that?
Oh, you better believe it.
And what kind of programs are you doing with that?
Well, what was interesting, a couple of things. A couple of things have been real interesting about this. Once we found out the Carnegie Hall show was going to be on the 13th and our record was coming out on the 12th, a couple of things became obvious. One was, could we get Norman to stay in New York for the rest of the week and actually do like an album release show with him after the fact of that Carnegie show?
Right.
And it was a blackout date, obviously, through the promoter.
Yeah.
But they waived it for us at T-Bone Burnett's request.
Okay, cool.
And Norman doesn't fly. So he hasn't really played New York in years and years. And he's really got anxieties about the city. So we went through a lot to make it comfortable for him. And we got that set up, which allowed our press and our radio department to do things for him which we would have never been able to do otherwise.
Right.
USA Today reviewed the record on Tuesday, gave it a great review. And we'll get a People magazine review on it.
Now, is this, do you attribute this to Oh Brother?
Oh, well, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you can just ask, I could send you a copy of a piece that's really interesting that ran, that's an interview with Norman that ran in the New York Daily News.
Oh, I'd love to
on
see
Wednesday. But the picture that goes with it is George Clooney and those guys singing.
Oh, I would love to see that, Sue, because I can't get the news in the libraries because it's the news.
It's the most interesting thing, because when it came out, Cindy, our publicist here, she said, oh, look at this, look at what they used as the graphic, which is, and it says, the headline is, Oh Brother Act Hits the Big Time.
Oh, yeah.
And they use that picture of those guys singing into the can from the movie, and then the whole thing is nothing but an interview with Norman.
Right.
About where the music's going.
Right.
Which we were delighted, because if it had been a picture of Norman, not as many people would read it.
Now, what are are there more jaded voices still around Shawnee who say, oh, it's all going to fade, or is everyone sold?
Yeah, there are, but it's been real fun, because we've got all this press attention that is on a higher level than we would have gotten, and far more mainstream. And then the radio response has been the same way. WNYC, which is the biggest NPR station in the country here, did an interview with him that ran last night, and then he was on WFUV, the big AAA station here yesterday. They're taping him for World Cafe today, which will run on it. That's XPN produces that, and it runs on 120 stations. So believe me, we're getting big time mileage out of this.
Cool.
But I'll fax you the USA Today pieces.
You're gonna have to mail it all to me. I don't
Really?
know. No fax machine.
Because this is just one paragraph, but it leads off with one of the nicest byproducts of the success of the soundtrack from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And the renewed interest in this modestly brilliant flat picker beyond the acoustic music circles in which he's considered a master.
Now, have you gotten any either direct or hearsay feedback from Norman from his vantage point of 40 years as to of hot and not hot?
Of course, everybody asks him that. But I have to tell you, let me complete the picture of what else this has allowed us to do.
Yes, okay.
From a sales standpoint, it's been really useful, which is really what I work with. it's the kind of thing where I could call the regional director for Borders in the Northeast and say, hey, you know what, I've got these things happening with this act here in town.
Right.
And he allowed us, he brought in more stock, put it on an end cap, gave us discretionary sale pricing, and let us put displays in all 3 Manhattan stores for no cost at all, because he believes it'll sell.
Cool.
Which is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
So, and we made flats for this, which, flat, I don't know if you know what.
No, what is a flat?
What flats look like? It looks like an album cover, essentially.
Uh-huh.
You blow the cover art up to that same side, and then on the other side you can put other things on it, so you can build displays with them.
Okay.
And we had solicited a quote from T-Bone Burnett, which we got, about Norman, which we printed on one side, along with saying featured from the Oh Brother soundtrack, and the other side's a picture of Norman for the cover of Flower from the Fields of Alabama, so that's what's going up in the stores.
Cool.
Which we would have never done, and, we also, Borders accepted us into their general listening station program nationally, which we normally haven't gotten a chance at, and not on quite that level. So Anderson brought stuff in again on it, so the response has been good because we can show a connection to something that's happening currently.
Sure.
Norman's take on it is, I think what I heard him say that I liked best is when he was talking about, back when the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band did Will the Circle Be Unbroken, that he also played on.
Yeah.
It caught popular attention long enough, and he said, and you can just ride on that for a while. And he sees this as the next version of that.
Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. Ride on that for a while. That's probably it. I'm wondering, is it going to, can it even carry to a second record?
Well, that's the big question around here, and we also have an offer out on Chris Thomas King right now.
Okay.
Which, I don't know whether we'll get him or not.
Who's he been with?
Oh, he's been with blues labels, Alligator.
That's what I was, Alligator, okay.
2 or 3 other blues, Blind Pig maybe.
Okay.
And so we'll see what comes of that. But that's been the big question around here is, okay, what's going to happen? Well, the documentary Down from the Mountain came out. It's playing next door to our office in this little art movie house in New York. The Coen brothers are going to introduce it Saturday night.
Oh, cool.
And there's a bunch of things planned. The video, it came out on home video on Tuesday.
The movie.
Yeah,
it
came out on home video this Tuesday, so there's big displays in the Blockbuster stores.
Right.
So everybody's expecting that's going to spark album sales.
Now let me reveal my naivete. All that stuff in record stores, when I walk in and I see a poster, it's all bought and paid for, correct? It's
not necessarily.
Okay. I'm wondering, is there still any place, well, I know there must still be a place, but any meaningful place where a clerk throws up a poster he likes or because he likes you?
Well, obviously, just like we just put displays of Norman up in 3 Manhattan Border stores, it didn't cost us a penny.
I see. Okay. And so you could actually do it even in a place like Borders?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It depends on your relationship with the store, and it depends on what you're asking for. I mean, if you're asking for something that's probably going to sell 15 pieces, it's unlikely. But if you can say, hey, this has some timely impact,
right,
and this is why, I mean, the record's new, there's stuff going on with it, there's the artist in town, it's tied into a phenomena. Yeah, I mean, they gave us all kinds of things. It's not costing us a penny, but it's in their benefit as well because they believe it'll help sell something.
Interesting.
So you work together on it.
Yeah.
It's you're not going to be able to. Well, I can't even say that. Even in something as awful as a Sam Goody store, it depends on the store. When we had Little Band of Gold, for instance, when that came out, and I went over and was working in East Texas and Louisiana a little bit on marketing on that. The stores over there, right on the border between Texas and Louisiana, really do have a lot of demand for that sort of thing, and they generally have 1 or 2 discretionary listening stations. They can put up their own little displays.
Okay.
They can manage to buy into things a little bit regionally.
Now you're talking even about chains, Musiclands, or things like that?
Goody, yeah, which is a big chain owned by Musicland.
Right, okay.
And it's not probably in some of the bigger stores around here, but in certain instances, if it fits the format of the store, they can bring it in.
Right.
A little bit. They can request it from their warehouse. They don't actually buy it from the distributor themselves, but they can make a special request for product.
Okay.
Borders is the same way. They don't buy independently. But if you go to the Border store up on Research, and you take a look in their Texas section, it's pretty well stocked, and the guy who's the manager of the music section is a really very, very good.
Uh-huh.
And I loved working with him because I could go up there and say, hey, you know what, we're going to do something with Sarah Hickman, and we set up all kinds of things that didn't cost the label anything.
Cool.
And sold a ton of CDs and got her into the store and got displays in the front windows and, you know.
And how about listening stations? Can you get them on at no cost?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
Borders has tons of discretionary listening stations.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and part of it is staff selection. You know,
Mhm.
part of it is, you know, just being good at selling it, that there's a good reason for them to put it in there.
Okay, so it's not entirely bought and paid for.
No.
Otherwise, of course, they'd be selling listening posts to labels who have the money to pay for them for records that won't sell necessarily.
That'll blow your mind. So, you know, the one place where you cannot get a free listening station, Waterloo Records.
Well, I was going to ask you about Waterloo. Waterloo will not give you...
entirely bought and paid for.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
there's a selection process.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's not whoever bids the highest.
Okay.
You know, there's certain programs. They have a Waterloo Picks program. You have to submit your title, and they have to feel it's appropriate to the store.
But nonetheless, if you don't come up with the fee, they won't put you in there.
Oh, no.
How interesting.
They won't do very many discretionary displays either.
Uh-huh. And that's just a one shot, isn't it, Kuhn?
Yeah,
That's
one store. And Mercury flew John Coons, the owner of that store, in for this thing at Carnegie Hall because I ran into it.
And why did they do that?
Because he's a what they call a tastemaker store that can break records.
Okay.
And I'm sure he sold the living crap out of that.
Yeah.
We're doing the same thing with Terry Courier from Music Millennium in Portland, who unfortunately couldn't make it. But, you know, John had a lot to do with helping break that Buena Vista Social Club record, and I'm sure he's done the same thing with Oh Brother.
Now, explain the dynamic of that to me. How does one store, albeit a pleasant place to be, break a record down in Austin, Texas? I assume when they say breaking a record, they're talking about more than Austin, Texas sales. They're talking about more than Austin, Texas sales.
Well, what it does is it shows up in certain areas, like in Billboard. If you open up a copy of Billboard and you look where it says Heat Seekers, and you'll see something jump out regionally.
Okay.
There's people watching those trends.
Okay.
And see, Waterloo will work very closely in conjunction with somebody like KGSR, who's also given some real serious credit for breaking Buena Vista.
Okay.
Because they were one of the first commercial stations to really jump on playing tracks from that.
Okay. Interesting.
So there's some things you can influence, you know, there's some things that you can't. Of course, there's still a great deal of skepticism from a couple of people around here, and I'm going to keep my skepticism, too, until I see sound scans on Wednesday.
Right.
Because that's going to show me the first week of sales and whether everything that we did, you know, from buying a quarter-page ad in the Village, in the Village Voice to, you know, everything else that's going on around here with the red carpet Norman Lake treatment for the week, if, you know, how many sales show up out of New York.
Does the skepticism have a rationale behind it?
Oh, of course.
What do they say?
Well, you know, I think that there's still the feeling that you can have a lot of attention for something and it can be, wow, isn't that cool, but is that actually going to sell records?
Well, and that's interesting because it goes back to something Ken Irwin once said to me, and he didn't say it to me indicating that he... Well, I'll tell you how he said it. I had mentioned to him that I bought Tishy Nahosa's Culture Swing and Iris DeMent's first record, I forget its name, but I bought those records on the same day, and I bought them on account of an article that grouped them together in some national magazine like Time or Newsweek or U.S. News or something. And so I said, yeah, I read this article, and I went out and I bought both those records on the same day. And he said, he turned to Bill Nowin, who was in part of the conversation, and he said, well, who says press doesn't sell records? And so what he was parroting was, what he told me then was a perception held by many that press doesn't sell records.
It doesn't.
Okay.
I'm one of those people.
All right.
You know, because what press will generally do is it will sell live tickets to live shows, but it won't sell records. What sells records is hearing music.
Interesting.
Radio sells records. What's interesting about Oh Brother is that it's sold without radio.
Well, that's so intriguing. You have to hear it to buy a record, but you don't have to hear it to go to a show, which is going to cost you more money for a one-shot. I don't understand that, but...
But it's true.
Okay.
It's genuinely true. You can, I mean, I have seen instances, let me think of a good one, where we got tons of great...
Actually, the way it works for me is that buying a record sells a concert ticket. Because the concert ticket's going to cost me a hell of a lot more.
Well, see, and for me, it's the opposite. I'll buy records after I've seen a show, but a lot of that is because I've been on guest lists for so many years, I've forgotten what it's like to spend a whole lot of money. So when I do go buy a concert ticket, I don't mind because I've probably just seen things for free 5 times before that.
Right. So press doesn't sell records.
It tends not to.
Is that conventional wisdom? Does everyone believe that?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
We used to okay, here's my example. Here's a good one. There's certain things that don't sell records. Here's another one that doesn't sell records. Commercial television doesn't always sell records.
Okay.
Unless it's the right, unless it's Conan O'Brien or something, and then it has to be the right thing. We had Don Walser on Primetime Live on ABC.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Didn't sell a record. We had stock manufactured. We went nuts, and then the stores didn't sell at all. But we had him on we had him on Morning Edition, and it blew through the roof, and we couldn't keep up with it.
Okay. And so what's the, why?
Because part of it is the audience that's receptive. Part of it is hearing it on the radio rather than just looking at the person on the television.
Okay.
Because he didn't really sing very much on the TV thing.
Okay.
And part of it is being able to target your audience a little. It's, let's see, around here we had good press on it. We get great press on Solus. It sells pretty well, but it sells from tour dates much more than it does. So, the thing is if you can get the press and then it'll feed into something else.
Right.
You use it as a stepping stone for other things. Kevin Gordon's record has gotten absolutely wonderful press and has only sold 1,700 copies, which breaks my heart because he's my artist.
Wow. What has Little Band of Gold done?
Oh, next to nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
Under 5,000?
Oh, undoubtedly.
Okay.
Probably under 3.
Interesting.
But they don't really tour.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they're hard to work with, and they owe us money, and so that we don't sell them product anymore to sell on the road because they owe us too much money.
Okay.
I went to see them recently at a festival, and I was just really pleased that there was a record store out there with product because we couldn't give it to them directly because they owe us too much.
Oh, God. They owe you from recording costs or from records they've taken already?
Records they've taken and never paid us for.
Okay. Yeah. And there's such a loose aggregation. Is there a point man?
CC, and he's such a con artist. He's just really a funny character. So.
They're doing 2 nights, tomorrow night and Sunday night at the Continental Club.
Yeah, I got a guest list from Jim Caligari on that, and I was trying to figure out how to accommodate it, but I don't think I can at the last minute.
Right. And Steve Riley was just in last weekend. I saw him on Friday at the Continental Club.
Yeah.
And now he's coming back with another band.
Yep.
Tonight.
He's tireless.
I'll go out there. That's always fun.
Oh, they are so much fun.
Yeah.
They're just sounding fabulous.
But I'm just surprised that even in Louisiana you couldn't pull it up above that number.
It's just real funny. And then, these things are not formula. You like, for instance, Anders Osborne's new record is doing really well. And in 3 months, it's done as much as the entire last record did in its whole life.
Tell me what really well means.
Oh, for Anders
yeah.
at this point, 6,200 copies.
Okay, I would understand that.
And it came out in March.
Right.
And he hasn't really been touring extensively. He just now is.
Right.
But we sold 700 copies the first week after a really super good Morning Edition piece.
Mm-hmm.
Now that stuff sells records.
Interesting.
NPR sells records big time, better than anything else. But for some reason, that audience, if they probably wouldn't sell really, really well. It might even sell Main Street stuff. I don't know, but maybe it's the way they can go into depth about what the music is, or being able to talk about it, or being able to spend longer than a minute and a half on it.
Right. Now, so what's...
Actually, I have to tell you,
Yeah.
I was talking to our general manager about press and selling records, and he was saying there are certain things with press that will sell records. He said a review in the New York Times will sell records.
Can I put this phone down a moment? Hold that thought. I got a guy is ringing the bell who's got to measure my garage for shelves. Hold on a moment. I'm going to let him in there. Okay.
Yeah.
He's measuring away with his tape measure.
Ooh, look you.
I was going to say tape recorder. So press, there are some examples. New York Times review.
New York Times will sell things. He listed a couple others, and it's escaping me now what he said, but he said there are very few that they feel have direct sales impact.
Interesting.
But I think the Oh Brother thing is very similar to Buena Vista in terms of a phenomena.
Right.
Especially where you've got a record that's selling really well without commercial radio play in the genre that
It's
music is.
where it's located. Yeah.
It was AAA commercial radio that started playing it.
Has the country music radio picked up at all?
No.
I didn't think so. I got the impression.
There's been article after article after article about it.
Mocking them, it's almost, I think.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Tearing them to pieces. If you were to go look it up, in the library, you'd come up with, probably 4 articles in Billboard alone talking about this.
Right. But they don't pick it up. They just don't know how to handle it.
And then you've got the 5-minute a cappella version of Ralph Stanley doing "Oh Death" that has been on the charts.
Yeah.
So I, being the eternal optimist that I am, have to believe that there's some emotional content there that still really is what sells records on some level.
Interesting. Okay.
There's the pop phenomena, thing as well, but there's also, I think, still some depth and emotion and sincerity to the music world.
Do you have any insight from, I don't know if studies are done about this, at least by Shawnee, but do you have any insight into the demographics of the people buying this record?
Yeah, there was a really good article that came out. I probably still have it. I really liked it because it talked about the demographics of the people buying the record. In fact, I faxed it out to all of our sales reps because I said it was in USA Today of all things.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, here we go. I've got a copy of it because I pasted it up and sent it to everybody. They said it's an urban record selling in cities.
Interesting.
Snapback, which has already shipped 750,000 copies, it talks about it, and actually in remarkably music industry terms for a consumer paper. They say, feature such country standards as You Are My Sunshine and Keep on the Sunny Side, but it's not behaving like a country record, says Mercury Records Senior Vice President John Grady, who was at this party Wednesday night. He was just grinning. I mean, if you look at the breakdown of where the biggest markets are, it's an urban record. The biggest markets, New York, L.A., Boston, Chicago, are not necessarily at all our strongest country markets.
Right.
And he says there's a tremendous overlap with people who normally buy bluegrass and folk records. I don't know how much overlap there would be with the contemporary country customer these days. It's a different audience, I believe.
Yeah, that's still considered a suburban audience.
So, I mean, it's an interesting thing.
What was the crowd at the concert? You said an NPR crowd?
Oh, I think so. It was...
Was it an older crowd?
Mid-age.
Yeah.
30 to 55.
Okay, yeah, that's what I meant. I didn't mean 60 but 30 to 55, okay. Yeah, I mean, the money thing distorts that a little bit. It's expensive to go there, but it's a Folk Alliance crowd.
Probably.
Yeah.
In large part, I would say. And plus some people who are just new to the fold, it's to some degree, you'd say it was like people who would show up to a festival like Bumbershoot or... There's nothing like that in Texas to compare it to. We don't have any festivals like that. Festivals are not a phenomena down there because of the weather. I've found this has been so interesting being in the Northeast after living in the Northwest so many years. It's much more similar here. I think it's partially a climate thing. But there's big festival things here, too, that happen as soon as the weather turns. And that draws people who would never just go to folk clubs.
Right.
But they go out and love the music. It's like Telluride type crowd.
Sure.
Or Strawberries crowd or something.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. I mean, it's great. So everyone's just sort of watching and seeing if it lasts for one more record for people.
Yeah. Well, this one will be a really interesting test.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to call me, I'll give you SoundScan numbers on it because it's.
I want to do that. Or I can do it by email or something. But
SoundScan comes out on Wednesdays.
Okay.
So it'll be really interesting.
So we'll get the first week this Wednesday. I'll be gone, but I can do it later on. And
if you send me an email and remind me, I'll email the numbers back to you.
Yeah, I'll do it when I get back from California, or I'm going to be in next week. But when I get back, I'll send you an email. But I would love if you could send me that article you mentioned in the Daily News. because I can't get the daily news, in the library. And I don't even know if they have a website. They probably do, but I always see what comes out in the Times because people post it somewhere.
Right.
Something I read, somebody posts what's in the Times, and even I may even have that USA Today article in my file because I've been clipping press.
I can make a copy of it.
I'd love, I want you to throw that in. And if you could spare, do you have any publicity that focuses on Oh Brother? Just sheets or something that isn't expensive?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we really, everything we've got focuses on Norman and just references Oh Brother.
I see, okay.
Since it's not our record.
Right.
But Scott O'Malley would probably have interesting things to tell you if you wanted to talk to him. He's a very nice guy.
Okay.
He's been getting interest in bookings because of this.
Let me see where it goes. I want to see. This has become, as I've been working, this phenomena sort of popped up.
But I would think Randy and Lee could tell you.
Yeah, they have Allison and they have Gillian and
Well, and they're the one who booked this package.
Right. So we can get some. Yeah.
Well, and Lee would have a good perspective. He worked with Ralph years ago. He's been in this stuff for.
Right. Right. Well, cool.
It's been great fun.
How is the job going?
I like it.
You like it a lot?
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's it's nice to be back at a label, and it's very diverse. It's kind of, part of it I love the music, part of it I actually really love marketing.
Right.
And it interests me just as marketing.
Right.
So even when it's something that I'm not necessarily wild about, like smooth jazz saxophone stuff, the marketing side of it is interesting to me just to see how it functions.
And do you find yourself having to learn about that stuff?
I'm learning all kinds of things. Yeah. I don't know any of that stuff. I'm not that accustomed to working with the big chains other than like Borders. And,
right.
No, watching how it pieces together. The guy who they brought in as the new marketing director is 32, hot shot out of the more urban and rap thing. And he's been wonderful. He's real wonderful in terms of just being able to. And for one thing, he's got a good attitude, but he's really not that into. He has no clue about the music that I'm into, and so it's interesting to watch because he can function real well for the company without having to know it.
Right.
Not with any of the niche stuff, but on the other stuff, which helps keep us alive. I'm having to learn a lot about Celtic music in terms of who buys that. I'm having to learn a lot about blues. We're doing a lot of blues.
Celtic is a big deal, too, isn't it?
It's a really big deal. See, and we have a couple of pretty major Celtic things. We've got Solus, which, is one of the preeminent Celtic bands out there right now. We're working on really interesting marketing with them and dealing with their manager and looking at how they're repositioning themselves. That's fascinating.
I